Hello and welcome to the third episode of the Home Buyer's Guide. And today's guest is Jeff Tetter with the 2020 property inspections. And today's episode, we're going to ask the inspector, what are the main aspects home buyers and their agents should look when we are viewing a home and maybe considering to put an offer in this home? Hey Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Maya. How are you?
Thank you for agreeing answering this question. So what do you think it has to be the first three components we should look when we're doing a walkthrough or a viewing a house?
Yeah, well, there's definitely so many things and items we look at. The three big ones when you're doing your walkthrough and you're looking at the house for the first time, I would say start by opening the crawl space door or going down in the basement if it has one. When you open the crawl space door, you're not going to be crawling down there during your walkthrough. But if you open the door, use your senses. Look for moisture down there. Look for foul smells, because that's where we find a lot of moisture issues, a lot of wood rot, or things that can cost a lot during a home purchase. And if you notice moisture down there, that's definitely going to be something that we discuss during a home inspection. So if you're kind of aware of that already, that's something really good to be prepared for. Because water is a big deal, and it's a pretty common problem here in North Carolina. So I would say starting by looking in the crawl space just to get an overall feel for down there. If you notice standing water, if there's no plastic on the ground, those are all signs that you might have some moisture issues. The next thing I would say is to try to figure out how old the HVAC system is, so the air conditioning system. Most of the time there's a data label on the exterior unit, and you can even take a picture of that and look it up online later that day, or call the manufacturer and they can help you determine how old it is. If the unit is getting close to 10 years old or that age range, most of the time you're going to be looking at replacing the unit compared to repairing the unit if there is any issues with it. Because anything that's over 10 years old, usually it makes more sense to just replace it rather than repair it. And then the next thing I would say is when you're walking through the home, if you're some common areas where you see cracking in the walls is going to be around the corners of walkways, doorways, and windows. It's pretty common to see cracks that are straight up and down. So if they're straight and vertical, usually that's a pretty good sign to just be in normal settlement. But if you see cracks where they're shaped more like a spider web, or they're not controlled and they're kind of spreading out towards the ceiling or floor, that's a good sign that there might not be normal settlement in that area. And then if the door is not shutting correctly right there, or the window's not opening and shutting correctly, that's a good sign you're going to have to do some repairs in those areas. So that would probably be three good ones to look at during your walkthroughs. I know it's pretty quick while you're walking through the house, so you're not going to be able to look at a lot of items, but those three you should be able to see during your walkthrough when you're walking around with your client or when the agent's walking around. I would say that's a good place to start.
Thank you so much. It was very, very informative. And me and you done quite lots of business together. And recently, I discovered that you added so much more to your not just home inspection, but you have additional services we can offer to our home buyers. Can you please tell us what all your company can offer when somebody decided and entered into a contract to purchase a home?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I try to offer as many services as I can that I'm comfortable doing, and then I also want to make sure I'm giving all the information that a client needs. So we've added some services over the last year or so here at 2020 Property Inspections. Besides the general inspection, we work with a local termite inspection company that handles all our termite inspections, and they'll come out and do a full termite inspection of the property, and they can usually give you a quote if the home needs termite treatment or any repairs throughout the house. So we can handle the termite inspection. We also do mold testing. So if we find mold in a cabinet, in ductwork, or in a crawl space, we can take samples of that mold to determine what type of fungus it is. So we're able to determine if it's a health risk or what really needs to get done to get rid of that mold growth. We also do air quality testing. So if it's an older home or even a newer home, and you want to know the general quality of the air and what's in it, we can take a sample of the air and then we compare that to a outside air sample at the same property, just so we can get a comparison of what the quality of the air is in the home. We also do radon testing, which is important here in North Carolina, especially if you're on a crawl space or a basement. We definitely find some high readings throughout the state. And then the last service that we added this year, which has been a really big help to my clients, is a sewer scope inspection. And what that is it's an actual video inspection of the sewer line that exits the house and goes to the street. And, you know, we do it on new construction sometimes too, and we'll find damaged PVC pipe, maybe under a slab that just got damaged during the build. But the other big thing, the reason why we added it, is when we were looking at older homes, especially like a flip style house, we'll find that the contractors are just replacing the plumbing lines underneath the home, so that it'll look like you have PVC pipe, and then as soon as it goes back in the ground, it goes back to cast iron. And cast iron that's around today, most of the time, is going to have to get replaced in the near future just because it rusts from the inside. So it's a really good add-on service that we added that clients are really loving. It's the only way to really know what's going on underground on that lateral sewer line that exits the house. So we do what we can to offer all these services. That way, home buyers is really confident that they know what they're purchasing. You know, and a lot of times, even when we find something wrong, it's not the end of the world. Most things can get replaced, but just knowing what you are buying is a big deal when purchasing a home. A lot of times, it's the biggest financial commitment of a lot of people's lives. So it's really important just to really understand where your money's going.
Most certainly. And I would like to kind of stress that to our potential home buyers. Probably you see this a lot as well. Since the inventory been little bit like on a low levels, all these older homes being, as you mentioned, flipped or renovated. And when we enter into a home which looks amazingly cosmetically, it being renovated and done, we sometimes did not notice all these possible defects. And that's why it's so important to conduct professional home inspection. Can you please kind of tell us briefly how important it is?
You know, I definitely have had people waive inspections, and it comes to bite them later on. A lot of times I see people doing as-is deals where part of their contract is there's not going to be repairs. Now, even if you go that route, you still should know what you're buying, so you know what you're walking into, whether it's a new home, old home. It really doesn't matter. I do a lot of new construction homes where I find things wrong, and my clients are able to have the builder fix it, or at least have documentation of those issues. And then on the older homes, I've seen clients that do the as-is deal. We find something wrong major, and it's still getting repaired because now that information that we found is public knowledge to the potential seller or the seller.
Yes.
So they're going to have to disclose that to the next client.
So that's a material.
Every house, no matter what the situation is, it's definitely important to get the home inspection. It protects you, it protects the realtor, it protects everyone involved. And then when you're looking at what you're spending for the home inspection compared to what you're spending on the house, it is very minimal for your investment. So the price of the inspection, I would not really think about when it comes to what you're really buying. So it's so important to get it. I would never recommend waiving the inspection. It's something to protect you, so you really understand what you're buying.
Yes, Exactly. Thank you so much. This was so informative, and we can post our information in this episode. I'll have all your contact information, and I hope potential clients will reach out with questions. And when we are under contract, then for sure reach out to schedule a home inspection with you, Jeff, and with 2020 property inspections. Thank you so much for being with us today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.